In this Clash of Clans video, we are going to be looking at the siege machines and teaching you exactly how to use each one of them. We will break down the Wall Wrecker, Battle Blimp and the Stone Slammer so that you have a variety of techniques that you can use when attacking a base. If you want to have a number of different options, be sure to stick around for the different attacks. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty guys, let's dive straight into this. We do have examples at Town Hall 12, 11 and Town Hall 10, the different Town Hall levels that you can use a siege machine. Obviously Town Hall 12 you can cook them and then donate them to the lower levels. We're going to start off with the Wall Wrecker, move on to the Battle Blimp. They were the two original siege machines. Then finally we will finish off with the Stone Slammer, the most recent siege machine and in my opinion one of the most useful. However, the Wall Wrecker, the first technique I want to show you is purely using it to get through the base. This is what you will use it for in a number of strategies. The Wall Wrecker does what it says on the tin. You use it to break open walls. There's not a lot more to it, guys. You can use it as a reinforcement towards the back end of the base in order to send in a couple of other troops. Use it as a bit of a tank initially, but essentially that is what it is doing. You're using it to protect your kill squad whilst breaking open the walls to get yourself into the base. That is exactly what Fail Time is doing in this attack, which was a 12v12 triple from the CWL Invite War, Crunch Time versus Buy Forever. Guys, if you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe for all of my Clash of Clans videos and turn on that notification bell so you do not miss out. Now this attack which you are seeing is the Bat Slap attack strategy. I do have a video where this attacker breaks it down. I will link that at the end, but essentially we're focusing on the Wall Wrecker, which was used once the funnel was set to break all the way through towards the Town Hall area. Didn't quite get to that compartment. Sometimes you might use the Wall Wrecker to get to an area and then jump the extra compartments. But once we had the witches into the base itself, it was using the bats around the outside, and to think that the witches do so much damage through the center of the base here is insane. Now we've got to say as well, quick shout out, Fail Time got a 99% 2-star in his other attack using this same strategy. However, let's move on to another attack to show you a different example of the Wall Wrecker. For the moment, we are sticking with Town Hall 12, getting it done here with the Wall Wrecker. Now, I wanted to show you how the Wall Wrecker can supplement a little kill squad in itself, or should we say a regular kill squad, irrespective of how big that is. Now the Wall Wrecker, as we've shown in that first attack, is often used to get all the way through the base. In them, P.E.K.K.A. Smash, the Bow Witch, any styles of attack like that, the Wall Wrecker is probably your siege of choice. However, if you are aiming to get to the Town Hall using a kill squad or whatever section of the base, you probably want to use the Wall Wrecker to get in there. Remember, the Wall Wrecker targets the Town Hall, so wherever you put it in is all dependent on that as to how far it gets. Essentially, for your kill squad, you can use it as a tank, in this case for our queen, to just get that little bit further and pop the Valkyries straight on top of the Town Hall. Again, it very much depends on how far you need to get into the base. If you only need to get one or two walls into the base and there are defenses in that area, you might actually be able to use a Stone Slammer in order to do the same job. However, just know that the Stone Slammer, being an air siege, will go over the top of the walls and potentially go too far ahead of your kill squad. The wall wrecker is used to not only get through the walls, but tank that kill squad. It's almost like a little mini golem, if you will. However, you need to have the wall wrecker tanked enough to get to the compartment you need to get to. I hope that makes sense. Now again, you can use that on a huge attack right the way through the base, or a little kill squad as you've seen here. And the Hog Riders getting it done at Town Hall 12, them brand new level 9 Hog Riders that we've seen in the recent COC update have certainly made a difference. I've seen a couple of hog attacks. What have you guys seen? Have you seen it? But we're going to move across to the Battle Blimp, which to be honest is definitely the most underused siege machine, but it definitely still has its place. So again, we'll explain why you would use it and in what situation, alongside a couple of examples from this CWL Invite War. Let's get into it. Okay guys, let's move to the Battle Blimp, which was the other siege which was originally added to the game. Now the Battle Blimp enabled us to do a number of strategies. Now the Stone Slammer can take the place of a number of them, but the Battle Blimp is still very much used for the Electron attack strategy, as you can see here. So the Battle Blimp is depending on the Town Hall. It will go for it, but that allows you to access certain areas of the base, as we are doing here, in which you can then clone either balloons or your Electro Dragon in that area to wipe out an area of the base. And also your primary target with this strategy is the enemy Archer Queen. So if we zoom out, you can see what has happened here is we sent the blimp into that area and the balloons were used to just wipe it out, and essentially we've created a huge gap in the base here. We've taken out the enemy Archer Queen, and CC has been pretty much eradicated as well, and we've now got pathing for our Lalo around the base. The Lava Loon is the most common strategy that you use alongside the Electron. Now alongside the addition of the Stone Slammer, that actually enabled us to do this strategy or this approach with the Stone Slammer. And I've actually got a bonus attack at the end of the video in order to show you that. Because the Battle Blimp, whilst it is very quick, it can get to that area of the base very fast. It can go down very quickly as well. And it's depending on where the Town Hall is positioned. Let's say we wanted to get to this area where the Lalo is coming through now. You would only be limited to one area of the base where you could attack from, whereas the Stone Slammer might actually be able to path through defenses to then get where you need, if that makes sense. You might actually be able to utilize that better, but the Battle Blimp still has its place because it can get there quicker as long as you can tank for it, and it can just wipe out that area. Another reason that you might use the Battle Blimp is if you think you could drop some troops very quickly to, let's say, an Eagle Artillery. You might drop a couple of Valkyries there. I'll often do that when I'm farming, but in war it just is a little bit trickier. One thing that you might do is when you're doing a Lalo attack, you might be able to supplement the Battle Blimp to target the center of the base. But let's move to another example. Let's show you an example at Town Hall 10, and I also want to cover the point I was about to make about getting the Battle Blimp to the center of the base. So on this one, you could see how deadly the Black Air Bomb was there, but we're still able to get in range of that Archer Queen, clone the balloons. That's the only thing you can clone at Town Hall 10 to basically spread out. They take all of the defenses in that area. Meanwhile, the Clan Castle troops are down, and the enemy Archer Queen was down due to the Electro Dragon. Now look at this southern area of the base that is gone, so we now don't have to worry about it. We have clear pathing for our Lava Loon. However, you do sometimes come across bases that might have a central area which is not surrounded by defenses, and that might be incredibly difficult to actually path your Lalo to. Whilst you can try and come in at different angles to then group together in the middle, it can sometimes be difficult, and your loons can end up going around this middle section. That is where the Battle Blimp can actually be good. Let's say you Lalo from this area, which we are now. The Lalo starts to come up and around as it is doing, but let's say we couldn't quite get to this bottom area, we could then send the battle blimp in, knowing that it's tracking to the town hall, and then we could manually pop out the troops in the center of the base. Again, in reality, that's kind of a plan B. That is not always something you want to rely on. You're far better off to actually cut the funnel, get that surgical approach to the Lalo, and that's why it's not often used. But just have it as an idea, little bit of an idea in your back pocket, because again, let's say in the clan war leagues, that is something that you might decide to do. If the town hall is in the center of the base, just know that if you clear out an area, you might be able to actually path a blimp straight to it, freeze the Giga Tesla, and you've got 8 loons or Valkyries on top of it. Underage, that town hall is history as long as you have it frozen. So it's always kind of like a plan B you can have as well. But let's move on to the Stone Slammer. So you guys can let me know down in the comments what your favorite siege machine is. Mine has got to be the Stone Slammer. Whilst I think the Wall Wrecker is the most versatile, the Stone Slammer is just a bit more powerful, and it isn't reliant on the position of the town hall. Now, a lot of the time in regular wars, you might see the town hall on the inside of the base. A lot of league wars, it will be on the outside. Now, that is purely because only at Town Hall 12 is it a defense. It's essentially not going to do anything, so we don't need it in there. It's just at the side of the base. We're not bothered about the 2-star. We're trying to protect the 3. But also, it's over there to mess with siege pathing, whereas the Slammer is not involved with that. So it just opens up so many more doors for you, and I'm going to show you a number of variations for it. The first one, which is probably the most obvious, is actually just using it as a troop. It is essentially, I've said it before, it's essentially a giant balloon with mini balloons inside it, or regular balloons, should we say. And essentially you can use that to merge in with your Lalo incredibly easy, or any air attack, or any attack for that matter. But air is obviously a little bit easier. Look at how easily it gets through these defenses. Now you can target the trickier defenses first. Now that might be that you try and get this to a multi-inferno. It's not going to take a lot of damage there, and then you can actually just pop out the balloons on top of it. But merging it in with your regular Lalo is something that's very advantageous. And don't worry guys, we do have a couple of other examples for you, but again, because it's not reliant on the town hall and it will go for defenses first, use it as a troop. If you don't need it within your kill squad, then don't use it within your kill squad. Actually use it within the attack itself. It can massively increase the strength of your attack, and it gives you a bit of a backup plan. Whilst the Lalo is incredibly susceptible to splash damage, the Stone Slammer essentially is not, and you can get through a splash damage before you then pop out the loons, if that makes sense guys. But we will move on to another example for you. This variation is probably my favourite within the use of a Stone Slammer. However, before we get into it, I just want to give a massive shout out to Crunch Time, because they had one amazing war against Buy Forever, both clans really going at it, and Crunch Time got the victory. That is 2 in a row for them, and really pushing playoffs here within CWL Invite. If you're interested in joining us, as ever, all of the clans I cover are linked within my Discord server, and you can find everything you need to know down in the description. I really do appreciate all of the support they give me and all the clans that I cover. So again, I know I haven't really focused on the attacks as such on this one. We are obviously focusing in on the siege, but Kedamingo getting it done here. The Stone Slammer siege machine being used to solo an area of the base. Now that is something which the Stone Slammer is the only siege, or it's definitely the best siege to do this with, because a Wall Wrecker or a Battle Blimp again is dependent on the Town Hall. However, you can use the Slammer to take out any area of the base that your troops might miss, or in order to increase the pathing. So for example, with the drag bat attack strategy, whilst you can just merge the Slammer in, you can actually use it to take out one area of the base in order to mean that the dragons don't go there, and they are pushed to wherever you want them. So let's say we were bringing dragons in here, we could use the slammer here to make sure we kept the dragons where they needed to be. However, look at this. As we've pressed in, we've got the bowlers and the peckers right into the middle, but we've missed this entire area. The slammer can deal with it. Essentially, we know where it's going to go, from defense to defense to defense, and that is exactly its pathing. There's nothing here which is going to take it down. It's incredibly tanky. Again, the wizard tower does nothing until them troops come out. Amazingly, it misses the wizard tower, but it goes round. There's a Tesla farm there where we then pop out the loons, and just think about how you might be able to use that slammer to your advantage in order to, like I said, solo an area of the base. That might help you with pathing, or it might actually just help to clear that area of the base, as you've seen here. A lot of the time, if you use Valkyries, let's say at Town Hall 10, that old school Falcon attack, you might not be able to path the Valkyries where you want, and you might actually have to have a backup plan for an area of the base. Some people have hog riders or balloons for that, or a slammer works incredibly well. So do think about an area of the base, potentially a multi-inferno. Try and think about areas of the bases where the rest of your attack would be susceptible to it, but the slammer might be able to take it out, and go for that area. Let's move on to that bonus attack to show how the Stone Slammer can be used to aid the Electron. Here we are then, guys, P90, another amazing attacker here at crunch time, and again the slammer just opens up so many other doors. It's not dependent on that town hall, so essentially you can push it straight into the center of the base where that enemy queen is, where we have, look at this, in the center of the base, such amazing value for electro dragons in terms of chain value, or even loons just to get on them defenses quick and take them out. Now with the Battle Blimp or the Stone Slammer, no matter what you're going for, you can actually take out some defenses first. That might be in order to help the Battle Blimp not take as much damage, or in the case of the Slammer, to help its pathing. So as it takes out this archer tower and we move forward, we know that it's not going to get drawn right the way over here because we've taken out the defenses. It's going to come into the base, and that's the idea. You can pop the troops out of it whenever you wish, but I'd probably recommend you just let it do its job. It's actually very quick at taking out them defenses. Look at it one-shot them. Just let it take out the defenses. Have your spells there ready for your troops to come out. Do not miss that clone spell. It's very easy to do. Drop back a touch with a clone spell so you don't miss. And again, look at that area in the center of the base where we had such chain value potential and for the loons to spread out. And look at that for an Electron. We've now taken out a massive proportion of the base, and the Lalo at this point is relatively easy to path. Look, we're going to come straight the way around. Unfortunate not to get that multi-inferno. That would be an ideal place to send the slammer had we not have already used it, guys. However, again, that is where the slammer can be used for the Electron, because you can path it to that area of the base in order to hit the queen, in order to hit them areas where you can get that good chain value. So I hope that's given you a good overview of the Wall Wrecker, Stone Slammer and the Battle Blimp, and just a couple of different variations that you can use. If you have any others, please leave them down in the comments. Leave a like if you've enjoyed this video, and like you seen at the start of the video, the Town Hall 12, the Bat Slap attack strategy, if you want to see that explained by Failtime himself, I'd highly recommend checking this video out because he breaks it down into great depth. So if you're a Town Hall 12 player, be sure to watch that, guys. But until next time, peace out.